Kash Patel has made no secret of his desire to use the tools of federal law enforcement to settle political scores for his boss. I mean, he's talked about it pretty openly over and over and over again.
Any of the stuff that we're seeing right now, the word treason is thrown out quite often. Is it actual treason?
For who? For
fill in the anything, any of the stuff that's going on.
I mean, I think what so many of these guys did, whether it's Brennan, Clapper, Comey, McCabe, Strzok, Barr, Haspel, Esper, what have you, I think there's a lot of rule and law breaking. And I don't know that it ever gets to the level of treason singularly with any of them. But what you have is a buildup of so many actions by the deep state that it becomes borderline treasonous to allow those people and their activities in a collective fashion to ever be applied to the United States.
Now, you may have also noticed this, but a number of the former officials he just named, may be guilty of treason, were handpicked people by Trump himself. There's that. Andrew Weissmann is the former general counsel at the FBI. Frank Figliuzzi is the former assistant director for counterterrorism at the FBI. They both know a whole lot about how the FBI works, how it functions, and how this all could impact. So let me start with you, Frank. I mean, this guy clearly has an axe to grind, is one way of saying it. Let's just talk about what power he would actually have at his disposal for people out there who are wondering, like, what the FBI does and what he would be allowed to control in this job, even if he's in it for 200 days.
Yeah, this axe, so-called axe he has to grind is really Donald Trump's axe, and he seems quite willing to wield it in whatever direction. He has said, we can take his word for it because he's said it. He said on day one he intends to empty out the 7,000 employees at FBI headquarters. Now, that makes for a great soundbite, but it's ignorant of the role that headquarters analysts and supervisors play in the 30,000-foot level view of the world. You can't just empty out headquarters, put everybody in the field, and tell them to work homicides, which is what he has said, by the way. You lose your global intelligence capacity to see what's going on in transnational crime, espionage, cyber crime across the world, and on and on and on. And then the firing, alleged firing that he intends to do of, say, a top 100 people, one phrase I heard, in the Bureau. Well, we still have laws. We still have personnel protections. Now, I know that Donald Trump claims he's going to do away with civil service protections. That's going to result in a huge battle in the courts. So it remains to be seen. But I'll tell you this, if he does want to empty out headquarters and send people to the field and lose that global capacity and view, we're talking about making America less safe, not more safe. If you aren't plugged in to the global capacity of the FBI, you're going to have people working crimes that aren't federal jurisdiction. And then let's say this, all the U.S. attorneys in all the districts across the country are going to be replaced by Donald Trump. If he now somehow interferes with FBI field office operations and management, you're looking at a total hijacking of the federal law enforcement system. That could concern everybody. And as they're pursuing Trump's enemies, what are they not doing? Are they not working that violent gang? Are they not working the corrupt Republican mayor, congressman, and governor in your city, state, county? That's a problem.
All of that, I think, is so important for people to understand. There's a huge local community impact of a lot of these choices, especially this one. So, Andrew, I mentioned this in my intro earlier. I mean, the FBI director, it's typically a 10-year term, which crosses over administrations. It's not a political job at all, which is important for people to understand. But there are kind of checks in the system within the government. And usually there's the attorney general, who would be kind of a check a little bit on the FBI. I mean, there's Congress. But Pam Bondi is the nominee for attorney general. I mean, will there be checks on the FBI and the FBI director in what we're looking to see how the Trump administration is being set up?
Yeah, well, at first, I do think the 10-year term is a really important thing for people to know, that Congress created a 10-year term. That doesn't mean that the president doesn't have the ability to fire a director of the FBI. And in fact, Donald Trump has already done that quite famously with Jim Comey. But this is very unusual. And instead, the norm is what Joe Biden has done, which is he kept on Christopher Wray, who was a Trump appointee. And that's because we're really seeing this shift of norms where you have somebody who's not using the FBI politically, that's Joe Biden, and you have Donald Trump, who is seeking to do just that, or appears to be doing just that. In terms of checks, Jen, yes, the FBI director reports to the Deputy Attorney General and to the Attorney General of the United States. Of course, those people also report to the president. And so, you're counting on norms to sort of rein in the FBI director, because the president can actually tell the FBI director what to do. Traditionally, that has not been the case when it comes to who to prosecute and who not to prosecute. But at the end of the day, just remember, all of these people saying they can go after people, you know what is required by the Constitution? Probable cause and proof and facts that support a violation of law. So this is what separates us so far from other countries that don't have a constitution. So that really is the ultimate check, is going to be juries and judges, and the requirement that you have facts and that you prove a criminal violation before you take any sort of criminal action.
You just talked, Frank, about kind of the impact on communities about the dismantling and what this could look like. And there are a couple of things here. I just want to ask you to go a little further, because there's the call to kind of eliminate the building, which may not seem like a big deal to many people out there, but I think it is a big deal. There's this kind of effort to go after the deep state. That is something that he's talked about a fair amount. What are the things? I mean, how quickly could this happen? And as people are sitting at home thinking, I don't know if this impacts me, you talked about this a little bit in terms of, law enforcement and local communities. What should people really understand?
Yeah, again, number one, eliminating the Hoover Building. Look, it's literally falling apart. In fact, GSA has a contract now to move the building to headquarters. I suppose that Trump could say, look, we're going to stop that movement process. There will be no FBI headquarters building. We're going to empty out much of it, and we're going to send these folks to work, quote unquote, real crime in the field. But again, I caution people, because actually, again, you're going to lose that kind of big picture analysis. With regard to the deep state, I run into a lot of people who say, look, maybe I've had conversations in the last 24 hours. Kash Patel's not a great candidate, but Biden did this to us. He chased us with the FBI. He used the FBI as a weapon. And then when you start scratching that, Jen, you get things like, well, the Russia case was a sham. Well, no, it wasn't. No, not at all. In fact, the DOJ IG found that it was properly predicated, and then it rolled into a Mueller special counsel inquiry, as Andrew knows, which resulted in multiple indictments. And the Senate GOP-led Intelligence Committee found the Russian interference was there. So the whole premise is flawed. It's a house of cards.